In this video, we're going to take a brief overview of the Hadoop software requirements. We'll look at the underlying software that's required, how to set up an operating system in large farms, and again, provide some concrete recommendations. Hadoop was first developed in Linux, and that is probably where it's the happiest running. In order of descending popularity, the most common distributions we see are Red Hat or CentOS, the Debian variants, including Ubuntu, and SUSE, which is very popular in Europe. There are native packages and tarballs available for each of these platforms from both Cloudera and Hortonworks. It should be mentioned also that Cloudera Manager uses something called parcels to provide a bit more functionality for its product. As of late, Hadoop now also runs in Windows, or more specifically Windows Server. There are native packages and tarballs available from Hortonworks, and this is the only provider I know that supports Windows. Both the Cloudera and Hortonworks package installs, not tarballs, also install the supporting software and setup accounts. This includes the JDK, the MapRed and HDFS Linux users, so on and so forth. If you either can't use Cloudera or you don't want to use Cloudera Manager, I highly recommend using the package installs rather than the tarballs. They're going to make your life a whole lot easier. Obviously, these tarballs and packages only install from the Hadoop layer up. Before you get Hadoop on the machine, you need an operating system. And that could be a challenge on a large farm of servers, where you have maybe dozens or hundreds of servers you need to provision at once. There are several network-based auto-config systems out there. These systems use a single config file, and they allow you to deploy an operating system to hundreds or thousands of physical machines. Depending on the type of hardware and operating system provider that you choose, you can pick from Red Hat Kickstart, from Dell's Crowbar, or Ubuntu's automatic install. Each of these services works essentially the same way, pushing out the config of an operating system to several machines over a network. From my experience, I have several recommendations that I'd like to share with you. First and foremost, I'd highly recommend using Cloudera, and if at all possible, using Cloudera Manager. If you can't use Cloudera Manager, then make sure you use the package installs to install the right version of CDH. Although Hadoop now runs on Windows via Hortonworks, I highly recommend using Linux. Again, Hadoop was meant to run in Linux, and that's going to be where it's happiest. Although I love Ubuntu, I typically install Red Hat Enterprise Linux for the master nodes so that you can get enterprise-level support, and then CentOS to save cost on the slaves. On the slave nodes, again, we don't want to use RAID or LVMs. The reasons for that are explained in other chapters. You obviously want to make sure you optimize your BIOS settings and install the network time protocol daemon so all clocks are synced. And make especially sure that you validate all of your hardware before you put it in a big Hadoop cluster. Because Hadoop is so fault tolerant, faulty hardware that's provisioned from the get-go will be hard to track down later. Again, in this chapter, we covered underlying software that's required by Hadoop, how to set up an OS in large farms, and concrete recommendations for getting software installed in Hadoop.